Good morning, everybody. Shefa Baruch Vatzachah Shiur Shpacham Shekutzim V'Tahurim. Parashat Pinchas. Pinchas, who is Pinchas? Who is Pinchas? Well, a good question. Who is Pinchas? Till now, we don't even know this guy. Who he is? Suddenly, at the end of the last parasha, wow, get Pinchas up, and he does what he does, and wow. Now, Pinchas is very interesting. When you write Pinchas in Hebrew, do you write it with a yud or without a yud? Interesting enough, when you write it in Word, in like the program Word, you write Pinchas with yud, there is a red stripe, shows you it's a mistake. You write it without a yud, that's correct. Really? The original name of Pinchas is with a yud. But, interesting enough, in our parsha, Pinchas is written with a small yud. You hardly see it. What's the idea? What's the importance of the yud? I mean, if it's important, why do you write it so small? And this is a very interesting idea. Pinchas, till now, we don't even know who he is. Now, sometimes we feel that, who are we? We're simple people, we've got no powers. But, says Rav Zalman Sorotsky in Zatzal, says a very interesting point. The small yud is the small Jewish, Yehudi Katan. Or, if we think about it, yud is one of the letters of Kodesh Baruch Hu. Yud Kei Vav Kei. And it's the first letter. In other words, in each one of us, there is a little thing that is the Jewish soul. The Chelek Eloka Mimah, the part of God that is inside of us. The small yud. And we have to take it out and act. It's not enough that it's there. We have to act accordingly. And that's exactly what Pinchas is showing us. Sometimes, this guy came to the Rebbe, to one of the Rebbes, and he tells him, wow, my father was this great rabbi. My grandfather was the other great rabbi. And tells him all this, the place where he came, all his ancestors were big shots. Okay, so the Rebbe says, I want to explain to you something. If you take 1 and you put on the right a 0, it's 10. If you put another 0, it's 100 on the right side. Or 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, billion, whatever. But if you take the 0 and put it on the left side, it's interesting, right and left. Right is the right place to be. Left is not the right place to be. Anyway, take it on the left. What you've got? 0. The 1 stays the 1, but you are a 0. You didn't add anything to it. And you can add another 0, it's still 0. In other words, where are you? Are you on the right or are you on the left? Are you the 0 on the right of the 1? So then you increase and you are part of this great dynasty of your ancestors, of Abraham, Yitzchak and Yaakov, etc., etc., etc. And that's exactly the idea. Sometimes you come from a normal family. And even then, you can do much better. Not only be a part of this dynasty, this great dynasty, create your own dynasty. This is what Pinchas did. Yes, he was the son of, from Elazar. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen, from great people. But he started his own dynasty. He started his own greatness with the act that he did. And this is something we have to learn and to do. You see, there was something happening there. This is also something to learn. With the Midianites, we all passed, they did what they did. And by the way, we have to understand that the main reason, if we go back in the Parsha, the main reason that they were punished is not what we think. It is also a part of it, but it's not what we think. If we look at it, like what we think, they did whatever they did, this act, this a physical act with the women with the girls from Midian. But look what's written here. Vayeshev Yisrael b'Shittim, they're sitting in the Shittim. Vayachel ha'am liznot et bnot Moab. By the way, I told the story how Bilam had a great idea how to make Am Yisrael sin. What he did how do you say, a market, shuk, a market for, how do you call it? Pishtan, clothes from Pishtan, from linen, I think, linen. These are very good in the desert. It's very hot in the desert, and they are very light, and they breathe. So he did the whole market with tents and clothes that are good for the desert, and he put a sign, Mivtzaim, sale, 1+1, etc. So Am Yisrael saw it and says, okay, here's an opportunity to buy good clothes for the desert. They went there. And then they saw tents, and in the front of the tents they had a table with clothes, shirts, trousers, whatever, coats, and an old lady covered from bottom to all covered. And she's offering them and says, then when they were starting talking, she says, you know what? We have a better deal inside, better clothes, better quality, and a better deal. Instead of 1+1, you get, if you buy 1, you get 3. Wow! So they're going in, and inside there is this young girl, this young woman, let's say half-dressed, beautiful, and she's starting talking with them and showing them the stuff, and while they're talking, she says, hey, drink a little wine. They drink wine, and go blah blah blah. And you know what you say, that the nature works and Yetzer Hara works, and she is revealing little there. Oh, and eventually he's tempted. He drank wine, and he's talking with this lady. They're alone in the tent, and then she offered, want me? No problem. First of all, bow to my idol. Takes out the idol. You have to worship this idol first. So look what's written. What a scam. And unfortunately, that's the way it works in life. You know, you start with something, then you go in, and then you finished. Vayachel ha'am liznot et bnei Moab. That was a prostitute. They did what they did with the girls of Moab. ותקראנה לעם, but listen what's written, לזבחי אלוהיהם. They called them to worship the idols. ויאכל העם, וישתחוו לאלוהיהם, and then go on. ויצמד ישראל לבעל פאור, and then ויחרף השם. So the anger came. Of course, whatever they did was wrong, but the real thing that changed the whole picture was that they worshipped idols. And then what is happening, we see this guy, by the way, you know, in the last parsha, it's not written who he is and who the girl is, and they come there and he says, well, you are also married to Madianite, blah, 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 and we know what happens. And Pinchas gets up, Vayar Pinchas with the Yud. A normal Yud, by the way. Ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen ויקום מתוך ויקח רומח בידו, and he took this romach, and there's this thing, and we have to understand, the Midrash says there were around 10 miracles happening to him, because he went into the camp of Shimon, the tribe of Shimon, and he killed one of the top people while he was doing what he was doing. And he was taking them out on this sword, or the spear, taking them out, and nothing happened to him. Now, this was a suicide mission. And this is what the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says, that he did 3 things here. First of all, he saw a problem, he did it, and he did it without even a little thing that has to do with him. Everything was for God. He was zealous for God. Only for God. Nothing that has to do, no benefit for him. On the contrary, he did it in a way, in front of everybody. So, he did it from the, it's very hard to understand. In a minute, let me read to you what Or HaChaim HaKadosh writes. 1 minute. Yes, okay. He says, שהייתה באמצעות ג' דברים. So we have to understand, one of the things is that this is halacha, what he did, but you don't order this halacha, you don't say talk about this halacha. And why? Because you had to get to a level of Pinchas. And what was this level? Bekan'o et kinati betocham. He was zealous for me inside them. Dikdek kinati vegam amar betocham. He says, my jealous, or whatever is it? My zeal I think it says. I don't know. So my zeal inside them. It says, Bemtsaut gimel dvarim. 3 things. 1, he did it himself, and he took he went into a great danger while doing it. And bet shaita kina b'shvili kvodim bilvad. He did it with no benefit and nothing to do with him, only for God. Velo באמצעות שום דבר זולתו, וזוהי מצווה שלמה. That's a full mitzvah that is the whole mitzvah. This is without a complete mitzvah. This is nothing better than this. And שלא הייתה הפעולה שעשה נלוי. He didn't do it inside that nobody sees. No. קידש השם בתוך קהל ועדה. He did קידוש השם in front of everybody. And as we said, this was a suicide thing, a suicide mission. And all those miracles happened to him, and it's get Briti Shalom. Tatilo Briti Shalom. What do you think? A covenant of peace to a guy that killed somebody? What's going on here? Now, there are a lot of details that we have to understand. He could have done it only when they were doing it, whatever, but I'm not going to go into it. But what I want to understand is, to talk about this. When we talk about Pinchas and what he did, and that you are not allowed to tell this halacha to nobody, we have to understand that, okay, you cannot tell this halacha to anybody. By the way, when we're talking about being involved, and he was not involved with anything, no benefit, no nothing, this is why, by the way, but Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't do anything about it. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu himself was married to a Midianite. Of course she converted, and we're not going to go into it, but he is involved in this thing. So if he's going to get up and kill Zimri ben Salu, then we say, he wanted to cover up his sin because he's married to a Midianite. So this is why Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't do anything. And all the other people standing there and not knowing what to do is teaching us a big lesson. That this small yud that is in Pinchas, it shows a greatness that is in each one of us. And even as though he was, till now, nobody knew about him. And suddenly, Natati lo et briti shalom, he gives him a covenant of peace, which is also, as we said, covenant of peace on killing. But that's exactly the idea. They say on Aaron, Ohev shalom ve'rodev shalom. He loves peace and he chases peace. What does it mean, chases peace? Rodev shalom? What is this? So, one of the explanations, not mine of course, is Rodef Shalom is sometimes you have to chase somebody and do whatever you can, even if it means killing him, in order to achieve peace. So talking about peace is very nice, very easy, but is this real peace? How do you get real peace? And this is one of the problems that today people don't realize, that to do peace with our enemies, it can only come from a point of power. You cannot just talk with them about peace. It's not going to happen. But I'm not going to go into it. So this is Rodef Shalom. So this is why is God showing us, the Torah is showing us, that sometimes an act of killing is really an act of peace. And peace between us and God, which is the main thing. And peace is one of the names of God. So in other words, Am Yisrael, after the sin they did with the daughters of Moab, with the women of Moab, or Midian, they cut the connection between them and God. There was no peace between us and God. But now, when Pinchas did what he did, he stopped the plague with the people. There was a big plague. You have to understand, 24,000 people were killed in this plague. And he stopped it. In other words, he did peace between us and God. He stopped the plague And this is against this beautiful thing of Pinchas. The small yud, we can talk about the small yud so much. The small yud is also showing us that the small things that sometimes we look at them in a different eye, we don't look at them and we neglect them. It says, in our parashat we have Korban TAMID. What is Korban TAMID? This is a sacrifice that we bring every day, morning and evening, during the whole year, including Shabbos, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, whatever. So we understand this is an important sacrifice. Korban HaTamid, always. And one of the things is to show us that the things that we do every day are very important. In other words, the small yud in Pinchas is also showing us that we have to be, let's say we have to go on the same path with patience and go on in the same way, atmada. We have to have atmada. We have to go all the way and always keep the Korban TAMID. What's the idea of Korban? It says Korban TAMID she'olah b'har Sinai. It says about the Korban that was in Mount of Sinai. And all of a sudden was this excitement. If you ask them, yeah, everybody was excited about it. Wow, what we do, what we're doing. So, but this excitement, what happens to it later on? When you do this every day, morning and evening, and you know this sacrifice starts the sacrifice and he ends the before Korban TAMID, you can not bring no sacrifice. And after Korban TAMID, no sacrifice. So the sacrifice of the Korban TAMID starts the work in Bet HaMikdash and he ends the work in Bet HaMikdash. And in other words, it's like we wake up in the morning, I'm thanking you, God. You gave my neshama back. It's very nice. Think about what you're saying. You have to thank God. This is something that happens daily. Okay, no. The same thing is the prayers. What is the Korban TAMID today? It's the prayer of Shachrit, Mincha, Mariv. How do we pray? Where is the excitement? That's not the way. Wake up the small you that you've got inside. Take it out. Those small things that we do, that we get used to them, we think that they're small, we don't understand and realize how important they are. We breathe, we see, we talk, and we have this power. Go to a hospital, unfortunately, and see all the wounded in order to understand how thankful we have to be to God on everything that we've got, on the air that we breathe. Yes, the daily thing, the normal thing. So in other words, Korban TAMID, this sacrifice that we bring always, is also connected to the small yud. The small yud is the small things that we do every day. And, you know, it lies in. No, we have to take it out like Pinchas. Take it out and start acting. So, what we learn today is the small yud is showing us that each one of us got great powers that are inside. That's a part, yud. That's a part of the neshama, Yehudi. Yud, the first letter of the name of God, Yud Kei Vav Kei. This is showing us that each one of us got a part of God inside and he has to take it out. An unbelievable power, like Pinchas. Nobody knew about him. And suddenly he gets up and does this heroic thing. Each one of us got it. And then don't forget the Korban TAMID. This small yud, the things that we look at them like, oh, okay, we do them every day, morning, night, the moderni, asher yatzar, when we go out of the toilet, the davening, pray that, Tfilat Shacharit, Tfilat Mariv, Mincha. No, we get used to it. No. Don't get used to it. Take out the small yud. Let it shine. And let it shine and show that you are going with excitement in the way of God. And the most important thing is, when we see something happening, don't let it just go. If somebody goes against God, against the tradition, against the thing, we have to stand up and do. Again, that's not the idea. What Pinchas did is that showing us the way. But nobody can get to the level of Pinchas. Don't think about it. Don't even think about it. We said those three things that he had inside him that made his thing an heroic thing. But it's to teach us to do a heroic thing. But as we say, from the point of view of not being apathic, be excited, move, do. Don't let things go around you and let them go like it doesn't concern you. Okay, so he does this, he does this. He talks against it. No. Each one in his family, with his friends, with his community, We understand those things. So let us all look at this small yud, understand the power of the small yud in Pinchas, and the power of Korban TAMID, that we have to make sure that the small yud gets out and does it with excitement. All the best, and Shefa Brucha v'Hatzlocha.